For thousands of years, humans have endeavored to understand the natural world even as they have altered it. We have tried to understand life on Earth by measuring it. We have observed animals, recorded weather, counted plants and animals as the seasons pass. As technology has raced forward in the last century, we've used chemistry, biology, and ecology to reach deeper into the science of life and to apply that understanding to the world around us. Yet many questions remain. Now, remarkable tools in genetics are dramatically changing our understanding of the world. We have long known that genes are the blueprint for life, but now we are learning that they reach far beyond the individuals they help create. Cutting-edge science is showing that genetics shapes the environment in many profound ways. Effects from the tiniest bits of DNA can cascade out to impact the very landscape around us. As we seek to apply science to improve lives and landscapes, this new knowledge can help us intervene in a smarter way. We can do so by making connections from the very small to the very large, from genes to ecosystems. A single gene can affect a landscape. New science is showing us how a trait controlled by just a few genes, hidden deep within the genetic code of a single vital species, can impact the lives of countless other species in the natural community around it. This groundbreaking new science is called community and ecosystem genetics. The pioneer naturalist John Muir was intuitively aware of the unseen connections that exist throughout any natural community.
When we try to pick out anything by itself, we find that it is bound fast by 1,000 invisible cords that cannot be broken to everything in the universe. John Muir, July 27, 1869.
Muir's observation was correct, but it would take the development of modern genetics and more than 100 years before scientists could prove it. By the latter years of the 20th century, biologists had learned a great deal about how genes shape individual organisms, but little about how they work to form Muir's invisible cords. Even a couple of decades ago, many traditional ecologists believed the web of connections between organisms, and hence between genes, to be unknowably complex. The connections were too many, the effects too slight. It was thought the genetic links would remain forever invisible. Enter Tom Whittam, an ecologist at Northern Arizona University. More than 20 years ago, he was studying aphids, tiny insects that feed on cottonwood trees. He wanted to learn how a tree's genes affect its susceptibility to aphids. To do that, he needed trees with a variety of genes. Taking cuttings from 81 trees selected from a variety of locations along Utah's Weber River, he planted them together in what he called a common garden at the Ogden Nature Center in northern Utah. Because he chose to study a species that helps shape its very ecosystem, Tom Whittam and his colleagues began to loosen the tight grip nature holds on some of its secrets. They began to prove that the complex links between genes and ecosystems were in fact traceable. Along western rivers, stately cottonwood trees are what ecologists call a foundation species. Such plants and animals exist in and shape ecological communities all over the world. They have a particularly large impact on other plants and animals around them. A small change to just a few lines within the genetic code of a foundation species can ripple through an ecosystem.
Big bluestem grass is a foundation species of the prairies. Seagrass is a foundation species of marine systems. Cottonwoods largely define streamside habitats throughout the American West. All communities and ecosystems have foundation species.
Through community and ecosystem genetics, scientists are taking a much more holistic view at how the genetics of individual plants and animals interact to shape ecosystems. They're showing how John Muir's invisible cords link the large to the small and back again.
Most folks for the longest time have thought that climate drives everything. Everything that happens with soils, everything that happens with plants is all dependent on how much water they get and the temperature. But what we're starting to really appreciate is how important the biotic components of an ecosystem are to how it functions, how it cycles water, how it cycles air, how it captures that nitrogen in the atmosphere, how it affects the soil fertility. That puts it in an evolutionary framework so we can start thinking about ecosystems and whole landscape level processes in the context of this theory that explains pretty much everything in biology.